Good morning. Thank you for joining me this morning on my talk on medication safety. I'm Ann. I'm a nurse practitioner volunteering with the Millis Board of Health. And I wanted to present this topic because it's so important to all of us who take medications. So medications are given for a number of reasons. They're given to treat disease, relieve symptoms, and manage conditions. So relieving pain generally is short term. Managing conditions is long term, say diabetes, high blood pressure, and treating disease, say strep throat with an antibiotic. We're looking at safety for you, for others, and those for whom you might be a caregiver. So what's important to know is the name of the drug, the dose, the amount, the number of times in a day you should take it, and the reason that you're taking it. Some drugs are used in what is called an off-label situation, and you would need to know that, and any provider would need to know that. And if you're taking a liquid that you have to measure, use the device that came with the medicine. The teaspoon in your kitchen drawer may or may not be the same as the teaspoon that's a true measure, and that could make a difference in an antibiotic. So things that are included in medications are ointments, inhalers, any patches that you would use for pain or for nicotine replacement, and eye drops. So you need to be aware of all of those. Now, I've left out a medication log book that you can use, and for those who are watching us on cable at home, these will be in the Council on Aging office. So the first page is a physician list. It's the name of the doctor, the demographics, the address, the phone number, and the type of physician, whether it's a dermatologist, an eye doctor, heart doctor, or your primary care doctor. And there's plenty of space that you can, add new ones or take off ones that have changed. And then the second part is the log sheet, which you would be able to write the name of the drug, the dose, the directions, and how many times a day you would be using it. So if it's twice a day, generally it's breakfast, and bedtime. If it's 3 times a day, mealtime, or the last one could be bedtime. Your provider will give you that information. And if something is every 12 hours, it's best to follow that, like 8 a.m., 8 p.m., 9 a.m., 9 p.m. And 4 times a day could be, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and bedtime. Or if it's every 8 hours, it could be, 8 to and 10. So, and then the next part of this is place. So for people using insulin, so that's at the bottom. That the dose for before meals or twice a day or however you're using it. But again, what I would always defer to, if you have questions about medications, the doses, do you still need it, that sort of thing, that is really up to the person who provided it. So now, we always hear a lot about allergies versus side effects. So a true allergy would be, widespread rash, itching in the throat. That is a true allergy. Most medications have some sort of side effect. say you were taking an antibiotic, you can often have stomach problems. You can often have diarrhea. That, unless it's severe, you can manage the diarrhea from antibiotics with yogurt. You can take, or probiotics. If you're buying yogurt, be sure you get something with active cultures. And while we're on the antibiotic discussion, finish the bottle. You know, if you say have a strep throat, you're on 10 days of penicillin, and by day 5 you feel really great. Finish it, because stopping it too early can lead to medication resistance. But again, if you have, you know, side effects that are severe, call your doctor. And anybody taking an opioid, you know, like codeine, OxyContin for, you know, postoperative pain or whatever, constipation will happen 100% of the time. So whenever you would have an opioid, you absolutely have to take something for your bowels, a stool softener or a laxative. You would be miserable. And again, take the doses at the right time. So what happens if you miss a dose? Have you ever had a problem with missing a dose? Does that, no? Sometimes that does happen. You know, life gets in the way. If it's like say a thyroid medicine, that's long acting. Don't double up on that. And there are many women who take tamoxifen following a diagnosis of breast cancer. That also is long acting. Don't double up on that. But and heart medications, diuretics, call your doctor. Sometimes it isn't advisable to double up on medicines. So safety. Now you want to keep the medicines out of the sunlight, and you want to keep them away from children or pets. And I can give you the poison, I'll just list off the poison control numbers. I've used it and they're wonderful. It's 800-222-1222. And they answer right away. And I've used it for pets. I was at my daughter's and the dog got into those pods that you put in the dishwasher, and you know, she needed to be treated. So now if there are more than one person in the family taking medications, store your medicines separately. You know, each person should either have their own cabinet or their own shelf or whatever. Keep your medicines in their original bottle. And if you're traveling, what you can do is use this pill reminder. These are Monday through, Sunday through Saturday. There's only one box for the day. If you have a lot of medications and you're concerned about which ones to take morning and, different times, they do have them that have 7 days and 4 times a day. It's big, but, if you're going, say, on a cruise for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, or the last one I saw from Rose Scala was 6 weeks. But, you might want to do something like that. And, any trip I've been on, the recommendation was, get a copy of the prescription to bring with you. Well, there aren't copies anymore. It's all electronic. So what you could do is, bring your follow-up visit note from your doctor. It'll give you a list of medications. Or you could photograph the pill bottle that would say, atorvastatin 80 milligrams a day at night. And you could just, copy that. Any questions so far?
No.
Okay. Now, if you're admitted to the hospital, so in the hospital now, you don't always see your primary care doctor. You're assigned to a hospitalist who would hopefully be in contact with your primary care doctor. So that's when you need to be sure that this list of medications is accurate. You know, there's plenty of pages in here, so you can X one out and you know, you would be getting the same medications at home unless the hospitalist thought because you were in the hospital you needed something different or whatever. When you go home from the hospital, they'll give you a sheet, a discharge medication sheet. Be sure that you contact your primary care doctor and let them know, because in the hospital, say if you're diabetic, your insulin or your anti-diabetic medicines may change based on if you're getting IV fluids or, you know, you're admitted for an infection, which would raise your blood sugar anyway, or you know, blood pressure pills. Often in the hospital, you know, you're not doing what you usually do at home, and your blood pressure could drop. So be sure that you are in contact with your primary care doctor to be sure you're both on the same page about the medications. Some medications you need to start slow with. Say, one that I can give you an example is Neurontin. So people use it for, you know, nerve pain in their legs if they're diabetic, or after a breast surgery, there's numbness and pain. So you would start off with Neurontin, maybe one a day for a couple of days, then two a day, et cetera, et cetera. So you can't go right into it. And by, you know, because you can take up to hundreds, but by the same token, when it's time to get off it, go slow, because you'll have side effects if you abruptly stop. And the same with pain medication. You know, you would want to taper that to get off it. Pain medication now is not given, I'm sure you've heard, you know, it's not given as liberally as it used to be. There were 93,000 opioid overdose deaths last year. So they give a small, like for, say you had your gallbladder removed, they would give you a small amount of pain medicine. If you need more after that is used, then call your doctor. While we're talking about pain medicine, if you're on it long term for a problem, you really need to keep that safe. If there's people in and out and there's a risk of drug diversion, you get a lockbox, because, you know, there are just too many opioid deaths. Now, inhalers. So inhalers are medications. They're given for maintenance, and there's a different one for rescue, for asthma, COPD. If one is using the rescue inhaler daily or more than once a day, then you need to call your doctor and just report that and see if they maybe want to change things. But to use the inhaler, you want to put the mouthpiece down, make a tight seal around your lips, inhale slowly, and press the inhaler, hold it, and then breathe out slowly as deeply as you can. If they tell you to use 2 puffs of it, wait 30 seconds. If you're using a steroid inhaler, be sure to rinse your mouth. And if you're using the device that's metered dose inhaler, be sure you clean that every week. If you take a rescue medication, always keep it with you. Over-the-counter medicines and herbals are also medications and should be included on your list. And you want to be sure, make the pharmacist your best friend. be sure that any of the herbals don't interact with medications that you've been prescribed. And also be sure that you read all of the instructions on a new medication, because some interact with food. So statins, like that you would take for, cholesterol, atorvastatin, Lipitor, those medicines, you can't drink grape juice. And any of the new medicines that you see advertised on TV now, for years now, they've allowed direct-to-consumer advertising. Any of those new medicines for eczema and asthma, COPD, are monoclonal antibodies, and you can't take grapefruit juice with those, or with some anti-seizure medications. So Tylenol, they've changed the amount you can take in a day. They've lowered it because it can affect your liver. So it's 3,000 milligrams a day. And if you're taking extra strength Tylenol, that's 500 per pill. So you take 2 at once, that's 1,000. You can only do that 3 times a day. Advil, Aleve, any of those can cause stomach distress. And if you're taking sleeping pills, don't take alcohol. And there are many drugs that you should not take alcohol with, and they're clearly listed on the medication information. And again, the pharmacist is always, most places have a consultation section, and they'll be able to help you with that. And, things you take for your bowels on a regular basis, be sure you add that in. And if you have questions about medications or reasons for taking it, the CDC has a wonderful website. It's cdc.gov, and you can scroll through the options, and you'll find whatever you need. And most big physician groups like Atrius, that Harvard Vanguard, or any Brigham, which is Epic, they have portals. Are you familiar with that? That you could just go on. You could set up an account, and you'd get an app that would. So it would say. The app would say, "Be my chart." You just click on that, put in your email and your password, and you're able to communicate with your physician. Are you familiar with that? No? Okay. So, big, large physician practices have it. But anyway, be sure that you have a way to contact, your own doctor if you need it. And, some reply by email, some, respond by phone. Never share medications, and of course, never sell them. I was on a trip once, and a woman we were in a bus, and she was going up the aisle asking if people had a certain medication to calm her down. I mean, you just don't do that. So, now some medications require blood tests periodically. The first comes to mind is people taking blood thinners, the oral blood thinner, warfarin or Coumadin. There are dietary restrictions, and your provider would likely want you to get a blood test periodically. Diabetics, of course, would need, most of them would be able to test at home. Seizure medicines, heart medicines may require periodic blood tests. Now, disposal of medicines. There is a National Drug Take-Back Day. Every town has that, and it's announced. The other thing is you can take your medicines back to the police station. They have a box that you just put it in, and they take care of it. They will also take needles and syringes. So, don't keep old medicines at home. And, it's not recommended to use things that have expired. Again, food, medicine interaction, seizure medicines like Dilantin, which is older. I haven't seen it used too much, but if you take alcohol, it washes it out, so it's as if you didn't take it. Some psychiatric medications have a restriction of fermented foods like beer and cheese, and that will be clearly listed. And if you have an EpiPen for allergies, keep that with you. You can just use that anytime, and also keep it updated. That you want something like that, because that is a life-saving medicine, and you can just be sure that it doesn't expire. So you had a question. Okay. Glipizide, 5 milligrams breakfast. Metoprolol breakfast. Metformin. Okay, perfect. Perfect. And are you testing your blood sugar at home? Yeah. Okay.
135.
Perfect. You do it every day or every couple? How often do you do it?
No, couple days.
Yeah, that's fine. Perfect. Perfect. So, good. Any questions that I can help you with? Okay. Okay. So, enjoy your bag. Walgreens was generous to donate those. And you have yours.
Yeah.
You could just paste that in here. But if you take anything over the counter or, ointments, be sure to add all of that, or eye drops. That's all medication. So, good. Well, thank you for joining me this morning. Okay. Okay. Oh, yeah, you're welcome. If you'd like, there's plenty if you'd like more for...